Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sunshine Spotlight. I'm James Campion, and it's really cool to see my old friend here from the Underwater Sunshine Days and other things, Mr. Mike Montali from the great band Hollis Brown from Queens, New York.
That's right. What's going on, man?
How are you, brother?
I'm all right. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, you look good. I love the pictures in the background. We're just talking about you got Elton back there, Bridget
Yeah,
Bardot, and
and Bob
Bobby.
Dylan, my hero.
I love it. Yes, and of course, Hollis Brown, named after the Ballad of Hollis Brown, which is a Bob Dylan song.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, something about Bob Dylan resonates. It's interesting because we've been messing around with this Warren Zevon song, and something about his voice is similar. I could see how people can't get into Dylan because of the voice. It's kind of like me with Warren Zevon, but something about Dylan cuts through.
Now, what Zevon song you know I wrote a book about Warren Zevon, so like I'm like completely obsessed with Warren Zevon. So what
Keep me
Zevon
in
song?
your heart. Keep me in your heart.
Beautiful one.
Great
Beautiful.
song, man.
So are you putting that in your current sets?
No, just kind of messing around with it.
All right, well, I hope when I come out and see you, you'll play it, says I adore that song, and of course, Warren. I did want to surprise you at the very top here. So my brother just got me this really cool T-shirt. Ready? So this is I grew up on Van Ness Avenue in the Bronx, New York, born 1962. Isn't that a cool
Nice.
shirt? Now
Very cool shirt.
here's the cool thing. Everybody always asks, why is this blue? Here's a trivia question. Did you know in the 1960s, for just the 60s, every borough had its own color street signs? True story.
Is that right? And the Bronx was blue.
Yes. So you want to go
Wow.
through it? You want to go? What was
Yeah,
Queens?
what was Queens? That's what I was gonna say.
Queens was
Probably.
the opposite. White with blue lettering.
All right.
Like that.
That actually looks cool.
Right? And
Better
then
than the
obviously,
green.
Manhattan's yellow. And Brooklyn was green. And Staten Island was yellow green.
Yellow green. Nice. I feel like they should do that again.
They should, right?
Much more interesting.
So cool. So speaking of which, and it's so funny because when we were together, the first time I met you guys, you were backing up Cyndi Lauper for our April 2019, and then you played a set as well, right? That was 2019 April Underwater
Yeah.
Sunshine.
Yeah, but we knew each other before that, right?
It's
Was it
funny.
the
I
first
think
time?
yes, I think we did, and I saw Jonathan at a couple of Jimmy and Immy gigs, and we were talking
Okay.
about the podcast. But yes, through the podcast, through there. But that was the first time I saw you guys play.
Oh, nice. That was a
And
great night.
it was a great night. But
Yeah.
remember the podcast that we sat down, the first time I kind of chatted with you guys, all we talked about was New York. It was fabulous. It was like Cyndi was like the history of New York, and you were very steeped in New York, and obviously a lot of your songs deal with New York, and your last record has like the Ozone Park thing. So where part of
Yes.
Queens were you, and you met Jonathan in when you grew up in Queens. Tell me about your whole history there.
Yeah, we met in Queens. We started the band in his dad's garage, actually, in Ozone Park. We both went to high school right around the Jamaica, Queens area. I grew up in Astoria, still live in Astoria, and John lives in Astoria now as well as upstate. But yeah, we met in high school, and Queens is a unique place because there's so many different cultures, right? You've got every single nationality, type of food, and music. So we were exposed to all types of different music growing up, especially in the early 2000s, which is when we were kind of, you know, going out for the first time, really. And there was hip hop, there was funk music, there was, Latin dance music, and, New York freestyle, which a lot of people don't know unless you have lived in New York and stuff like that. But for us, we kind of bonded over classic songwriters, and it seemed like we were the only two people who were on that wavelength. Everybody else was wanting to do either hardcore music or metal music or this, and we were just like, no, we want to, get into Lou Reed, get into
New York.
Dylan, yeah, Simon and Garfunkel, yeah, all these
New
kind
York.
of. So that, yeah, exactly. Well, all in terms of of that. So we kind of bonded, and we just started writing songs in the garage, and kind of said, okay, we got a batch of songs that were all terrible, to be honest with you. But we said we've got to get out there and get a band to play these things in front of some people. So we just kept chipping away at it, and 10 years later, here we are.
It's to me, uh, fascinating how like a band like yours does it cannot be pinned down. One of the things I love to do, and as you know, Adam and I do this on the podcast, and I've done it on this show too. I'll say, well, you guys remind me of this, or you have this vibe going, but you guys are a full spectrum band. I've heard you. I was texting you today or emailing you today. One of the tunes on a live performance from the Bowery Electric. We're going to play one of those songs, but it very much sounded like mid '60s Motown. Then you have another song that kind of has this country LA vibe. Then there's another song that has sort of that New York gritty. So you guys don't really sound like anything. It's very Hollis Brown.
Well, that's something we've kind of wanted to develop is our own sound. I think it took us some time, and we never want to make the same record twice, for better or worse. You've got bands like AC/DC and stuff like that who just make the same record. And I loved AC. That was my first concert. First concert I ever saw was AC/DC at Madison Square Garden.
But they have made the same record many
Yeah, and they got the sound, that sound. And for us, we kind of have a lot of interests and a lot of styles we want to artistically kind of pursue. And so when we were first starting out, I think the Dylan thing and that kind of Americana roots rock thing was very natural for us, and we've kind of evolved into maybe more mainstream stuff and some funky stuff and some different kind of stuff. And Motown is probably my all-time favorite music ever made. As a genre or
production.
Just the whole thing of it is amazing to me. So I appreciate you saying that. So it's all in there, and I think being from Queens, like we talked about, it's all kind of nestled in there. So we're just trying to be authentic to what we want, what we can make.
And one thing I think about you guys, and you mentioned being in your the garage and everything, is that you guys are a band, and that is not something that is as prevalent today. Like there's the old joke when everybody saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, it was like got to start a band. And prior to that, it was like Buddy Holly and the Elvis Presley or something. There were singular people with a side band. Then all of a sudden, bands became a big thing. And then going through the early aughts, not so much, right? And so I find that a band like you must have been really hit hard by the COVID thing and not being able to play and be in the same room and play and then be out on the road, which I know you guys love to play live. How did you negotiate all that? I mean, I've been asking people since I've been starting to do this almost a year now. It's a very, very difficult thing. How did you guys hack it?
Yeah, being a band this day and age is extra difficult because, the money in music has seemed to be just, especially for, bands that aren't massive. And even for those bands, they get fucked over left and right, you know what I mean? So, but we've been able to navigate. Fortunately for us, we've built something in our region here in the Northeast, and where we've been able to parlay that, and people were open to us going in their backyards and playing. Safe, small sizes, all super socially distant and responsible. And so we kind of never stopped playing. I mean, we didn't play as regularly, but we would have a once a week kind of backyard show, out wherever, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Jersey, just kind of Pennsylvania, just roaming out where we could based on our network and based on hosts that were willing to do it. And everything was super safe. We never had anybody say that there was any health issues with any of the gigs that we did. And so we just kind of just kept trudging just to kind of keep the lights on throughout that time as a band, and I think it helped us in a lot of ways become a better live band than we were. And we're still navigating, but the frustrating part is that you think it's over. There was that
Yes.
there was that little glimmer of hope where everybody in the industry was like, okay, we can do things again. And now we're like, oh shit, looks like round 2 is coming. So we're treading lightly again. And it's been kind of frustrating, to be honest with you, and wondering how you could be a band at our level and go 3 years without, properly, doing your job, and wondering how you're going to keep going. So, we're finding ways, we're just like everybody else, and we're still going. and we're doing all right comparatively. So we're fortunate to have built something ahead of this. Whereas a lot of bands, I think, who are either just starting, or a lot of bands who kind of maybe had a one market, like their hometown that their friends and whatever came to. For them, it's really really difficult to get through it more so. So fortunately for us, we've been at it a while, and we kind of built something. So.
Yeah, and I think a Kid Sister. I had them on. They played the last festival, which was October of 2019 now, and they were just starting out, just about to break. They had a new record that's a real killer. But luckily, they got a tour they're on this summer, or this fall, I should say. And this is actually a good segue for two things. I want to play a song of you guys, but also, I haven't mentioned it on this show. This show is an offshoot of the Underwater Sunshine podcast I do with Adam Duritz. Obviously, Hollis Brown, great friends of ours, and have been on the show and have played the festival. They were due to play with many of the acts that we have and artists we've had on this show over the last year to keep the fires burning. We expected to have a festival in October. It's not going to happen. Everybody watching this knows this by now, and it's a real bummer. And I was just telling Mike before we started recording, it was a really difficult decision for Adam and Barbara and myself and Felipe, everybody who works on it, Lindsay, and the list is long. And we wanted that to be the exhale, right? All these bands getting together to play again, but just the thought of that also made us think, woo. With this new variant, everything, people jammed in the club. There's no way to pull that off. That's that unbelievable environment without having it full blast. So that's why we ended up not doing it. And it's really, it breaks my heart because that's a great community, and you're a big part of that, Mike.
Yeah, we were looking forward to playing it. We actually had a very special guest we were going to bring that we won't say. Maybe we'll keep it in the back pocket for the next one. But good. Yeah, we loved Underwater Sunshine. We love everything that Adam has cultivated over there, and you all have been so supportive of us and so supportive of just developing talent and bringing people together who are creatives of all types, whether you're painters or writers or musicians or whatever. It's just like a great. It reminds me of like an old, like you hear all these stories about all these eras of, Gertrude Stein had her, kind
Paris
of
Salon,
yeah, the salon, you had things like that, and I think in the society that we're at, everyone's kind of out for themselves in a lot of ways, especially artistically, and it's nice to have that kind of community to be inspired by.
Yeah, I agree. Well, this is very inspiring. This is Hollis Brown playing. When did you guys film this?
We filmed this during the pandemic, so probably I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 months ago. When everything was shut down, we we were asked by a lot of different festivals and a lot of different random in shows and TV shows and venues and festivals, just to, everybody was doing virtual things. So we thought, there was a lot of people doing, the iPhone acoustic thing.
Right,
so
from their homes.
Yeah, and we did a shitload of that. Don't get me wrong. We did a bunch of that. But we thought, let's get together and just get, a 40-minute set or whatever down, 30-minute set that we can send different songs to different people and just kind of have something that's a little more full band vibe. And it was great to do it at the Bowery Electric as well.
Yeah, with our first venue that we ever did, and I'm pretty sure that's where you guys played, and Cyndi come up and played a couple of songs with you guys, right?
That's right.
At the Bowery Electric. Anyway, so here is Hollis Brown playing a song I picked out. Thank you to Mike. He said, you pick anyone you want, and I picked She Don't Love Me Now. It's a great song. I love the structure of the song. I love the way you sing it. I love the way the band comes in, the harmonies. So let's check this out. This is Hollis Brown last year playing the Bowery Electric, She Don't Love Me Now.
My baby, don't love me now. You know we had some crazy nights out there in the village, dressed up like each other's dreams. We were midnight killers. Oh, she don't love me now. She don't love me now. Oh, she don't love me like she said she does. Oh, she don't love me like, oh, like she said she does. I know the nights are so long, the days are cold. Sick of the bars, I'm sick of the shows. Doing my best, yeah, I'm doing good. I got friends in the neighborhood. Oh, she don't love me now. She don't love me now. Oh, she don't love me like she said she does. All my nights are lonely, I don't know where to go. You know that I don't miss her when I think about you. You know that I don't miss her oh, when I think about you, yeah, yeah, yeah. All I've got is lost, hanging from the cross. All I've got is all I want is all I got is love. She don't love me now. She don't love me now. Oh, she don't love me now. She don't love me now. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, 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 no. She don't love me now. She don't love me now.
That is Hollis Brown. Mike Montali is joining us today. He was singing there and playing acoustic guitar. His buddy, his high school buddy, Jonathan Bonilla, on lead guitar and guitar there. Keyboards by Michael Hessine, right? Am I pronouncing that right?
Hessline, Michael Hessline.
My bad. I wrote that down. Andrew Zehnal, right, on drums.
Yep,
Zehnal,
Andrew.
yes. And
Yep.
tell me the bass player's name. How do you pronounce that again?
Chris Urriola is our
Urriola.
Urriola.
A nice
Yeah.
Irish boy.
That's right.
That is Hollis Brown, and great song. I love that song. Okay, we're gonna talk about new stuff you're doing and what you want to plug, upcoming shows and such. But I have a little surprise for you. I didn't tell you this, but you had sent me. Now, Mike and I, during the pandemic, Mike had written me and said he was going to go for his creative writing MFA, right? And where
Yeah.
are you going to? Are you going to school currently still?
Yeah, I'm currently in the program. Yeah, MFA in creative writing. So
Right. So, and I wrote I read some of his stuff. I wrote a recommendation for him, and he's studying now. And because I'm a terrible friend, he sent me 2 parts of an episodic novel he's working on.
that's right. Whatever. You never got back to me about that. Whatever happened? I forgot I sent those.
So Uh, and I remembered it when I knew you were coming on, so I read the first part.
Oh, you did.
The one with the Spanish name about the Tom who has
Yes.
cancer.
Are you gonna rip it apart live on the air for me here or no?
It's beautifully written.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. It's got like a Hemingway vibe.
Wow.
I love how you're bringing in the Queens into it. The Spanish culture. I love how you're going to do it over an arc over the same place in Queens. It's like a play, and I tell you, I was very, very impressed. And Mike, so congratulations! I'm so glad that I was a small part in your maturation as a writer, because you're very.
Thank you. Yeah, it was always kind of a dream of mine. I always wanted to be a writer. It's always been my ambition. And growing up, I wanted to be a writer. I love literature. I love poetry. I love songs. And the songwriting thing kind of came the most naturally, and it kind of doors were opening, and things were happening where I could pursue songwriting. But then in the recent couple years, when I had more time, my wife said, you should really find another creative outlet right now, because I need to be doing something. I'm not one of those people. I need to kind of live in the inspiration in order to it's like therapy for me in a lot of ways. And so I thought, I'm gonna go in and write this novel that I've been wanting to do for so long, that it's very difficult for me. It doesn't come naturally. So I've been working on it, and it's an episodic kind of novel about one restaurant where different patrons go, and every table throughout the course of a night kind of has a little backstory about their life and just random things, and they kind of crisscross. And it's been a lot of fun to do, actually.
It's very well done, and I just wanted to surprise you.
Thank you for that.
Of course. I love how you called me on that. And I sent you that. What the hell happened?
I forgot about that.
All right. So moving on to Hollis Brown again. You guys, I wanted to find out what you guys got coming up. You have a show in October. Tell us about that, and another project you're working on, which I'm very excited about, actually, when you tell me.
So once a month, for the rest of the year, we're playing at a great venue upstate New York in Marlboro, right outside of Beacon. It's called The Falcon, so you could check that out. You can RSVP and come. They've been great. We've been doing them all year, and it's packed every time, and it's been awesome. Not too packed, but just enough to where it feels like a show, but doesn't feel...
And you're so nice that every time you invite me, I got something going. I have to find a way to get up there or get to one of these Brooklyn shows. I will. I promise.
Or one of the house concerts too. But on October the 23rd, we're playing at Brooklyn Made, which is a brand new venue in Brooklyn, and we're playing with Jesse Malin, who's another friend of the Underwater Sunshine and just the New York scene. He's really good, Jesse. And so we play on October 23rd. We'll be playing at the Falcon. We'll just be kind of gigging out. And another thing that we did was, a few years back, when we first kind of were starting out, we did, me and John, we were in that garage listening to the records that we were trying to figure out how to write songs. And so it was David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, the Velvet Underground's Loaded, Rolling Stones' Aftermath, a bunch of records, many more as well. But we always were flirting like, we're going to do a series of just us kind of recreating the records that we loved. And we did one in 2014, was the Velvet Underground Loaded record. And it got really good reception, and so we did it. We just recorded the Rolling Stones' Aftermath, or re-recorded our tribute to them in our own style, and so that'll be coming out early next year. So I'm excited for that too.
Wow! And just on the heels of the late great Charlie Watts that we just lost, and I was thinking about you and all the Stones fans when that happened. I wrote a tribute to him in the Aquarian, and you could definitely hear. That's what I was saying about the Stones, right? At the beginning they were a blues band, then they were a pop band, then they were like a hip cool rock band, then they were like dark and mysterious band, then they became a pop band again, and then like a legacy band.
Then
so
little
they're one of those
disco
bands,
in there,
right? Country, all that stuff. I mean, Exile on Main Street has 4 different sides of 4 different bands.
It's my favorite album, I think. To be honest with you, I think that's my all-time favorite album. It's perfect.
It is
perfect,
and that's the highest compliment I can give a band. Is you guys have that kind of thing. There's an earthy quality and a genuine quality to the music that you guys write and perform. And I think that clip that I just played is a classic example of that.
Well, thank you. You know, we're a rock band, rock and roll band, and there's a lot of layers you can play around in that genre. A lot of people think it's just heavy or or whatever, but I think there's a lot of different grooves you can kind of find, whether it's leaning on the countryside or the R&B side or the mainstream kind of straight up or the alternative side. So there's a lot of shades to rock and roll.
Are you guys writing new material? I'm assuming you're always writing.
Yeah, we're writing a bunch of new material. We've actually recorded some, and hold on. Sorry to cut you off, man.
No. What's the dog's name?
Well, I got two dogs. One's name is Scoop, who's a 12-year-old foster dog that we fostered during the pandemic, who's 12 years old and an old man. And then we have our dog, which is named Otis, after Otis Redding. And he's a Corgi Jack Russell mix, so.
All right. Let him get in the show. I mean, we've had dogs on the show, yes.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, with these type of things, in the house, it's
understood.
It's tough.
So you're working on some new.
Yeah, we're working on a lot of new songs. We recorded a few already, and we're slated to get back in the studio before the end of the year and try and finish up a full length, which hopefully will also be out next year. So we're trying to get 2 records out next year: the Stones tribute and then an originals album.
Good for you.
Come out swinging,
Yeah, and by the way, if you do, and again, I'm using this show as to officially. I mean, we've already officially announced that we're postponing, not canceling, and then whoever can make it that was playing before. And I know schedules change and tours and everything, but you'll have 2. You're going to hear some new Hollis Brown music if these guys can make it again for the festival, and we hope you can. And you're always in New York, so I'm sure we're going to see you pop by Adam's place or whatever. So it's always good to see you, man.
It's good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. That is Mike Montali from Hollis Brown. You keep making that great music. I got to get out to see you guys. I promise. I'm going to get out to see you guys.
All right,
and I
cool.
think, if I'm not mistaken, because I had dinner with Immer in David Immergluck in Austin, that he's playing a lot with Jesse now. So he might play that show.
He is playing a lot with Jesse, and I think it's after the Counting Crows are off tour, so he might be playing that show.
Yeah, October 9th they're done. That's right. All right, well, again, Mike, thanks a lot, man. Be well.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, this is Underwater Sunshine. Peace.
Peace.